Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our 2026 webinar for summer camp. We are so excited that you all are here with us. I see folks joining in, and again, man, we're just pumped. We're off to the new year here, 1 month in. We've got several inches of snow outside, so we're kind of all over the place taking care of business here tonight as our offices and whatnot are closed. So we haven't been able to get up to camp in like 2 weeks with all the weather. It's like a complete ice sheet. So we've got plenty going on, but man, we are just really excited for summer camp. We've got good number of units coming. We've got our staff hired. We've got a few little holes here and there that we're piecing together, but for majority of it is ready to roll, and we're very excited about the opportunity to have you all with us at CRK this year. So on the call with us tonight, we've got Wesley Warden, who is our council program assistant, and he is one of our assistant camp directors. We also have Ash Stimke, who's one of our assistant camp directors, and Sam Selichek, our program director, all on the call tonight. So we were going to do one of these. Let me pull up the schedule here. We've got one of these going on essentially every the first Monday of every month. That's coming to you here on YouTube, and each one is designed just to go over what's coming up next or what you need to focus on. Especially that one in June, it kind of focuses on what are those last minute things that we all need to hone in on and be locked in on. So make sure that you're staying tuned with these, especially if you're a troop that hasn't been with us in a while or you're completely new. And especially those returning units, we want you to stay up to date, because if we have changes, more than likely we're going to announce all of those here. So make sure you stay in tune with us. Hit the subscribe button. We know 6 o'clock is a crazy time. You got dinner cooking, you got 20 scouts sitting in front of you, all sorts of good stuff. So if you forget, whatever it may be, you hit the subscribe button. It'll remind you when we have something going on, send you a notification. But also, these will record automatically to the same link that you're on right now. So if you're not able to be with us, not a problem. You can come back to this at any point in time and watch it. If you're interested in watching the webinar from 2016, this exact same one, you're welcome to go back in our YouTube page and watch that too. So we try to keep everything here to help you plan your trip to Raven Knob this summer. If you haven't already, be sure to type in your troop number and where you guys are from in the chat bar. That chat, you can ask us questions all night there. If you have a question, just throw it in there. Some of them we won't get to. Hopefully we'll get to all of them. But you're also welcome just to shoot us a email as well at registration@ravenknob.com. If you've got a more personal question, whatever it may be, so that way we can handle it one-on-one. But again, as you're coming in, throw that in there, your troop number, and where you guys are from. It's just kind of for us to keep tabs on everybody here. All righty. So let's get popping into this. Let's see here. The first thing I want to go over just really quick while I've got my screen shared here are these important dates that are coming up. I'm going to kick Wesley and Sam off. Sorry, we'll be right back with you. All right, so that way you can see this. Well, maybe. Understanding our registration dates. I think this is really important. We're going to continue to harp on this as we go along, but making sure that you understand these will help you plan the best that you can. So on February 15th, which is coming up here in just about 13 days or so, you can go in Tenaroo and you can start updating your spots, which is something we're going to show you how to do here in just a few minutes, and start paying those deposits per scout. So every troop that signed up this summer has submitted a unit deposit of $150. And so that's just deposit. It's not a separate fee. It'll go into your total balance paid. But starting on that 15th date of February, you'll be able to pay $150 per scout that you have coming. And it's just what you have right now. You know, if you need to add more later on, so be it. But you can go ahead and start doing that. You do not have to do it on the 15th. Okay. You don't have to do it that day. We're kind of giving you a month for the most part to get ready for your session registration. All right. So bouncing on to that, when we get into March, this is kind of the hectic time for those of you in charge of summer camp registration. whoever's putting kids in the system to register for their merit badges, all of that good stuff. So on either the 10th or the 12th, so that's Tuesday the 10th or Thursday the 12th, depending on what week you're coming. All right, that's the date that you have to sign up for merit badges, and that will start at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know we have a few folks from all over the place, but that is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you'll be able to get in Tenaroo and start registering. And so our next webinar that we'll do in in March, will be the session where we teach you how to actually add folks to their merit badges. So that'll be very important if you've never used Tenaroo before. Okay, so just make sure you have these dates here in between the 15th and whenever your registration date is for your sessions. Make sure you're going in there and updating those, your unit count and getting names uploaded, which we're going to go through a bunch here in a second. All right, so at this point, Ash has actually got to hop off early on our call. So I'm going to pass the ball over to him to talk about some of our required documents that we must have for you guys to attend camp, or each person must have. So Ash, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Hunter. So here's the main Raven Knob website, and I'm going to show you kind of where to scroll through on here to find some various documents and forms that are part of the registration process, some of which need to be brought to camp, and other things you just may want to know about. We'll talk about this point on some of the other webinars as well, but we wanted to go ahead and mention this here. If you go under Scouts BSA Summer Camp, down to the Leader's Guide and Forms page, that'll bring you here. I believe Wesley's going to talk a little bit more about the Leader's Guide, Program Guide, Parents Guide, and the Rampage Supplement, sort of these things up here. But we certainly recommend all these. You'll hear more about those later. What I'm going to talk about is some of these other things, sort of the documents that people need to bring with them to summer camp and are part of that planning process. Many of you probably already know about the annual health and medical record, also known as the medical form or the health form. All participants, youth and adult, need to bring that with them. That's, of course, the form that looks just like this that you can get on scouting.org that has all of, health history type things. And Part C is required for attending a week-long summer camp because it's a long enough time period to where that physical from a doctor or other medical professional is required there on Part C. In addition to that, another thing that all youth participants have to have, and this has to do with some state of North Carolina policies, but there's this form here called the Outdoor Parental Release Form. Once again, this is only for youth participants, but this form essentially, as it says here, all scouts must have this form signed, but it basically has some more information about some of the higher risk activities at summer camp, and it basically is a parent or guardian giving their scouts permission to participate in these types of things that are mentioned on here. So this form does have to be filled out and signed for each scout, and it would be best to have that attached to their medical form, so not in a separate pile or whatever, but they can just staple it all together because our Health Lodge staff and medical team will keep track of both this form and their annual health and medical record whenever they are in camp. A couple other things to be aware of down here in this further list of downloads. Here's some of those things I mentioned from earlier, the program guide and such that are above, a camp map if you'd like to see that. Here's that same release form I mentioned a moment ago. But I also want to spend a little bit of time talking about these last three down here. This one here called the supplemental medical form. It says it's not required, but it's highly encouraged. This is the type of form that you may want to use if you have a scout or a leader with some specialized medical conditions, maybe that require specific treatments or medications or whatever. So this is not a form for everybody, but if you've got scouts that maybe have severe allergies or any sort of special needs that may medications or things that may be, relevant to our medical team to know, this is just an extra form that you can do for any of those scouts or leaders where that may be necessary. As far as other forms in preparation for camp, I should talk about this one as well, the special diet form. This is how you let us know whatever scouts and leaders in your unit have dietary restrictions or allergies or things like that. And I'll kind of show you that form here. This form we do ask to be returned to us well in advance of your week of camp. It says June 1st. If we get it within a couple weeks out, that's probably fine as well, but it's making sure that we have the right food ordered and things like that. As these texts here say, we do, I think, a pretty good job at our camp taking care of people's dietary needs. We regularly serve people who need gluten-free diets and are vegetarian or need kosher meals or whatever that might be. If you've got any sort of those standard things, or maybe it's a egg allergy or a dairy-free or a celiac disease, any of those things, those are things that we accommodate pretty regularly. So feel free to just list those and we'll have the proper foods available for those people. If you've got any scouts or leaders with specialized dietary needs, whether that's severe allergies or other things that require particular types of foods or avoiding certain things, the best thing you can do instead of just maybe trying to explain it in one line on a form like this could be to just send us an email. You can, of course, just email us at any time at registration@ravenob.com, and we'd be happy to work with you, put you in touch with our dining staff, whatever that might be, to make sure that you're accommodated. In some cases, and sort of peculiar, or very specialized needs, sometimes people do bring some of their own supplemental food to camp. We do have space to help store that if that's a consideration. But we just let us know if there's anything specialized going on, and we'll see what we can do to help accommodate you. That diet form is just for like your entire troop, so you don't need to do one per kid or anything. Just send us one for your unit that says, hey, I've got 2 vegetarians and 1 gluten-free, and then we'll know what to do from there. Moving on down the line here, the last one I want to talk about is this swim classification form. I know many camps do things like this, but this allows your units to conduct swim tests prior to coming to camp. That's something we actually encourage if you live near a pool or a lake or have the ability to do that as a unit. I know the Sunday check-in process can be a little complicated for people sometimes. It's a busy day and a full afternoon with all kinds of things. And doing a swim check or a swim test prior to coming to camp means that your scouts and leaders don't have to do that on the first day of camp, which will save you some time and make it so you don't have to swim right after you get off the road getting into camp. There is a national form for this. We'll accept that one as well, but this is sort of our specialized one here. They pretty much do the same thing. The biggest things to know about the swim test form is that if you choose to do swim tests prior to camp, it is an annual evaluation, kind of like the medical form. So we ask that these swim tests be done within 6 months before camp. That's somewhat at the discretion of our aquatic staff and the unit leaders, but that's kind of the main thing there. And of course, those swim tests have to be administered using the procedures outlined in the Guide to Safe Scouting. You can also find that in the Aquatic Supervision Manual. That used to be a book that you had to buy, but it's actually available for free on just the aquatics resources on scouting.org now. So that's pretty cool. Regardless, the swim test and beginner test are stated here as they are in the Guide to Safe Scouting. But be sure that whoever you have administering these tests and kind of overseeing them is familiar with what's required for them. Some detailed procedures on what that means is found in that aquatic supervision resource. There may be some in the Guide to Safe Scouting as well. But that's kind of what that is. As far as who's allowed to give these swim tests, our preference is that there's someone with some sort of scouting credentials doing that. So this means someone who's trained in safe swim defense, someone who has the aquatic supervision, swimming and water rescue training, perhaps a BSA lifeguard or a BSA aquatics instructor. Some of you may have heard that the BSA lifeguard program is going away. That was discontinued at the end of 2024. There are still people in the world with valid BSA lifeguard cards right now. If they trained in 2024, it's a 2-year thing, so their card would still be valid for this in 2026. But by the end of this year, there will not be any more BSA lifeguards. However, of course, we are still offering Red Cross lifeguarding as a course at Raven Knob if any of your scouts or leaders are interested in doing that. So I'll just do a little plug for that. As far as filling out the form itself, you more or less write the scout or leader's name and check what their classification here is. And then at the bottom of the screen, let me just zoom in so you can see that a little bit more. It asks for what unit leader is authorizing the test and then just information about their credentials and what date they did this on. If you have questions about that, feel free to reach out and we can help you with that. But this is a form that if you want to submit it online in advance, you can submit it right there at ravenknob.com/swim-tests, or you can just bring a paper form during check-in and give it to our aquatic staff. That works as well. And of course, if you have any other questions about these forms and things like that, feel free to email us and we will absolutely get back to you on that.
Perfect. Thanks, Ash. Let's see here. Do we know what the ballpark temperature of the lake is? I feel like we get asked that every year.
Yes, I do know that. It's very swimmable. I'd say for most of the summer, it sits around 76, 78 degrees, something like that. It might dip down to about 74, but it's rare to see it below 74 or so. I'd say 76 is probably the most common, and it rarely goes above 80 either. So it's quite comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I like to say it's a breath of fresh air in the morning and quite relaxing in the afternoon. So
yes, yeah. If you jump in right after breakfast, it'll be a little chilly for you, but it's great in the afternoons.
Absolutely. There's no finer place to be in the world than on Lake Sabata come about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So
absolutely.
Anyways, all right, Ash. Hey, we appreciate it. Let's see here. Yeah, we should be good. All right. So Ash, thank you for hopping on. I know you got to run.
Absolutely.
I'm going to move on here. So making sure you stay up to date with those those forms are really important to make sure that you guys are really prepared when you get to camp. I know that they're a hassle, and I will promise you we're going to remind you about those during every webinar that we do. So those annual medical forms I know can be a pain, but making sure that you're staying up with that is very crucial in ensuring that everybody gets checked into camp and it's as stress-free as possible. All right, so we're going to move on to talking about utilizing the registration system and all that good stuff. We know that it can be new depending on which camp you go to. There's so many different systems. You got, I guess they're really down to about 3. You got Double Knot and Tenaroo and Black Pug. And councils bounce back and forth to which one they're using. But we're a Tenaroo council, and that's what we use. So just want to go ahead into this. So hopefully everyone has their Tenaroo login at this point. If you do not already have your Tenaroo login, go ahead and send an email to registration@ravenknob.com, and myself or Wesley will get that sent over to you so you can get logged in as soon as possible. So you don't really need to follow along. You'll be able to come back to this at any point in time and utilize it. But when you go to ravenknob.com on your phone or online, you can go up here into this upper right-hand corner. If you're on your phone, you hit the 3 little bars, and then at the bottom of that section, there's a login button. So I'm already logged in, but there should be a login button up here in the top. And you go up and you just hit that login button to where then you'll put in your credentials. Okay. Since I'm already kind of logged into things, when you first get into Tenaroo, this is what it should look like. You should see that you have a week of summer camp registered there. Some of you may have 2. There's a couple folks that come twice during the summer, but you should see that there. If you don't see this box right here with your week of summer camp, let us know. That means that we've either missed over something, or it's on another account, or whatever it may be. So just give us a heads up. So you'll have that box right there. You will not see these administrative rights that I have down here below, but you'll see pretty much everything else here that we see. All right. So when you're at this home screen, there's a couple of things I want to tell you about first and foremost. So you've got the Manage My Profile, which you can go in here and edit some things like your contact information. You can also set an alternate contact. I highly recommend that for every unit to be getting more than one person is getting all the information from camp. So the emails, whatever it may be, in case we can't reach out to you, should we need something, we've got somebody to fall back on. So make sure you've got an alternate contact plugged in there. There's also the Manage My Group button. We'll talk about that more here in a second, of things that you can do between really now and when session registration, and then view previous orders. If you have a question or you need to go back to something or wonder where that $20 went, this will kind of help you go through that as well. All right. So for the purposes of what we've got coming up on February 15th and leading up to your session registration date, you're going to click on this box right here. All right. So this will bring you into the event that you're registered for itself. All right. So once you're in here, you'll scroll down. Now, we get a lot of questions when we do send out these logins, or folks get in there and they say, well, I'm bringing, 30 scouts and 4 leaders, but only see one spot registered for a scout and a leader. And that's exactly right. When you submit that reservation form, we know that things can change. You're probably not going to bring exactly 30 kids and 4 leaders. You might end up bringing 28 scouts and 5 leaders or something of that nature. So it makes it easier for us to allow you to go in and update your numbers how you have them coming in. Okay. So you scroll down through here, you'll be able to see that you're registered underneath registration. You've got 1 youth and 1 leader spot taken care of. So starting on the 15th, the system is going to allow you to change those numbers. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit the manage spots button right here. All right. You hit that manage spots and say, all right, I'm bringing 10 scouts. That's what I've got on the docket right now. I've got my 10 scouts and I've got 4 leaders coming. And then old Joe, he's going to come down for a half week. Okay. So we hit next. You're not going to see any of these things. You're not going to see this one either. And then you're going to get to this screen and you'll just hit complete, hit the pay minimum amount required there. All right. Then from here, you're going to go in here and you're going to pay other amounts. So what's cool is your unit deposits are in the system. That's $150. So you've already got 1 scout's worth of money in the system. And since I'm bringing 10 scouts, all right, 10 times 150, all right, that's $1,500. But I've already got the 1 in there, so that's $1,350. So you'll pay this other amount. You'll come in, you'll type in $1,350 and hit save. Now, some of you are probably, well, hang on now. You actually have 14, 15 people registered. During this registration process, the only thing that you need to worry about are these scouts. Okay. We're not looking for payments from leaders at this point in time. We're only looking for payments from scouts. So that's why it's only the 150 per scout, or, rather than, 150 per leader, whatever it may be. If you want to go ahead and make those payments, go ahead and knock that out. Okay. So you'll go in there, you'll do that math up for whatever it may be, subtract that $150 unit deposit. If you don't see that in there, reach out to us and we'll see what's going on. And then hit checkout. You'll come down here, make sure your billing contact information is all correct. Make sure the zip code right here. All right. Make sure that zip code right there matches whatever card, bank account, whatever that you have going on. Okay. So in Tenaru, you can use a credit card or you can use an e-check. All right. This is where I do a pitch where you guys can help us save money at Camp Raven Knob. We highly, highly encourage, and last year it was overwhelming, the support that we've got. If you can send a check to the Old Hickory Council office, and we'll talk some more about that. But essentially every time that we have a credit card processed Tenaru, that's a 3% charge that the camp absorbs because we do not feel like it should be on you as the unit to take on. We're here to make sure that this process is as easy as possible. But we also understand that is quite expensive at the grand scheme of things. So a check, I think, is like 0.8%, which is still a good check. It's a good number at the end of the day. So if you want to send us a check, we highly, highly appreciate that. You send it to our council office, we get it plugged in. Even if it's running behind, shoot us a message, say, hey, it's in the mail, it's going to be for X amount. We'll go ahead and get things working on our end. Okay. So I think last year, obviously I don't know the number, but it was an overwhelming amount of people that really helped us on that end, sending checks in. So if you can do that for us, it would be great. But otherwise, hey, we know we got to make business happen. So do what you need to do. All right. So make sure that zip code matches whatever information you're putting here, and then you're going to hit place order. So I'm doing this on the back end. So we're just going to do that. And now you can see that money has been deducted out of the total amount. All right. We're going to just really quick, I'm going to go through that as fast as we can one more time. So starting on February 15th, you can hit the Manage Spots button here. All right. Update your numbers. All right, we go next. And then right here, you'll put in the $150 for however many scouts that you have coming. Okay. And there is a way to do an ACH, but we do have to get that taken care of with our accounts payable folks at the office. So if that's something you're interested in, you can feel free to reach out to us directly, and we can get you teamed up with Lisa to take care of that. A physical check rather than e-check. Yeah. So the at council option that I hit, when we have something come in, you will not be able to see that. You're not able to hit that at council option. So you let us know the check's on their way, or go ahead and get it on the way. And then when that check comes in, we'll go ahead and process it that way in the system. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense there. All right. Cool deal. So one of the things I do want to show you now, and when you get to May, is getting your folks already in the system. Those of you that attend every year or every other year, you're a little bit of advantage. Those of you that are new, this will take some time. So a check, by the way, Katie. So sorry, just to answer that really quick. A check is much easier for us. You're a little bit of disadvantage if you're new, but that's why we're telling you this now, so you can go ahead and start working on it. So if you go over here to the Manage My Group button, go ahead and hit that. You can go ahead and start preloading the information that you need for registration day as far as the people go. Okay, so you can go in here, and if you've been with us before and you need to get rid of some folks, you can delete some of these folks just by clicking on their name. We can go to bug checkers here. And down here at the bottom that you cannot see because I've got too much stuff going on, there's a delete button there. So you can hit that delete, and that'll kind of clean things up. But if you need to add people, it's not a problem. All right. You go back up here to this plus button. All right. You're going to add their first and last name. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you this information, so it'd probably be really good to write it down, and we will send it out to you in email as well. These are the fields that we need filled. These are the fields that we need filled. There's one for the night that we need filled so you can actually register. A lot of these in the system say optional at this point in time, and that's not correct. That's just optional for the system itself, not for the event. So you'll need their first name and last name. You'll need their date of birth. You'll need their gender, and you need their shirt size. Okay, those are the things that you're going to need. All right, there's a couple of things. So let me go through that one more time. You'll need their first and last name. You'll need their date of birth. You need their gender, and you need their shirt size. Okay. I don't need anything else. You can put as much information in there as you want, but that's all I'm looking for. Okay. Those are very important things to look out for. Okay. So you can go ahead and start putting those in. That'll get you a list of names like this. And then when we get to the session registration piece, you'll go in there and say, okay, I know Augustus is coming. I click on his name, and then we'll fill in his merit badges. And we'll go over all of that at our next webinar. If you're curious on how some of that works, you can go find the registration webinar from last March, and it will explain it the exact same way I'm going to explain it 1 month from today. All right. Wesley, Ash, anything that I missed here that we need to hit on?
I just want to reiterate again, because sometimes that date is confusing. February 15th is the start date, not the due date for those forms. So you can start making them on February 15th. And then one comment, I had if we use Tenru at another camp, is it possible to access those files for our list of scouts? Unfortunately, Tenru accounts do not communicate across councils. So if you have a Tenru account for Raven Knob and a Tenru account for wherever your home council may be, those don't communicate. So unfortunately, you can't export a list of your scouts and import them into your Raven Knob account. That also, just want to make sure you're logged into the correct account whenever you're trying to access these things as well, because that trick
for sure.
And one thing I was going to mention is that adding your scouts to the list, like Hunter was just showing, is sort of adding them to the roster in Tenaroo, which doesn't necessarily register them for the summer camp event. That's what happens at the later date in March. And so that's kind of why we're saying this February 15th thing is like the opening date, and there's no rush on that. It's kind of when you get around to it, get your kids and your scouts' names in there, update your roster, make sure everyone's kind of set and ready to go. And that way, when your session registration date opens in March, this stuff will be already taken care of.
Correct. So, there we go. All right. Thanks, whoever got that for me. All right. Excellent. So the last thing you want to do is try to do all this on your registration day in March. Go ahead, get logged in, make sure you can see it all, mess around with it. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, okay? Myself and Wesley and the other folks that help manage the registration account, we're here to help you and try to make this process as seamless as it can be. It's not easy, and we know that, especially when you're bringing 20, 30, 80 scouts, whatever it may be. So we know it's not easy, and we want to make this as easy as possible. So utilize us to your full advantage on how we can help with this. When we get into registration day, it is very hectic for everybody, but I promise you, the last thing I want anybody to do is get really worked up and say, you know what, I'm not coming to camp because the system was too slow or something like that. Don't do that. All right. We can work miracles in more than one way on this registration system. It's not as complex to us. So utilize us, check in with us the days leading up to it and all that good stuff. So we'll be happy to help with you. This is a great question that we have here. Do we get one account per troop? And then can we share that? So yes, you get one account per troop and you can share that. However, I don't recommend it. If you have more than one person in the system trying to do something like that, more than one person in the system trying to add people to merit badges, you could have one person check out at one point in time, and then the other person is working through adding somebody, and it's going to kick that person out, and you'll have to start over again. So I've seen it done. It's possible, but I don't necessarily recommend it just because it can kick somebody out, and then it gets kind of frustrating. So I always recommend that you and somebody else sitting with you or on a Zoom call or whatever, somebody's entering it into the system and somebody else is, calling out the shots to them, or calling the plays in, if you will. All right. Let's go over those dates one more time before we move on to the next couple of topics. Starting February 15th, you'll be able to do what we just showed you in Tenaroo, which is updating your unit count. And then for weeks 1 and 2, if you're coming weeks 1 and 2, you'll be able to start registering for merit badges on March 10th. Or if you're coming weeks 3 through 6, so that's 3, 4, 5, and 6, you'll be able to start registering on Thursday, March 12th. Okay. Cool deal. All right. We're going to move into some more details here with folks. So at this point, I'm going to pass it over to Wesley, and we're going to walk through the website here a little bit to make sure that you're able to find everything you need to help you through this process. Wesley?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we go along this process, I'm sure some of you have maybe accessed this page before to access our leaders guide, but just in case you haven't, and also so that way you can access the other guides that we have, we just want to go over that real quick. So I think Hunter's going to direct the website for me here. So to find our leaders guides and forums, you're going to go obviously to our website, ravenknob.com. And then if you look at the drop-down menu for Scouts BSA Summer Camp, you will go to a leaders guides and forums kind of header right there. Once you click on that, the top 3 that you're going to, or sorry, the top 4 you're going to use most often are going to be at the top there. So as I mentioned, the leaders guide, y'all are probably familiar with that now, but we'll go over it in just a second. We also have our program guide, a parents guide, which is always really helpful, especially when we start getting into March, April, and May. Whenever parents start asking for information, how much money do I need to send with my kids for the trading posts? What do they need to pack? What can I do to help my child be prepared? A lot of that information is in our parents guide and is really helpful information there. If you have any scouts taking our Rampage program, which is our kind of top tier high adventure program, you can also access that Rampage program supplement, which will have a lot of good information in it as well. I think we're going to look at the leader's guide first here, and then we'll go over a couple different things of information in this guide. So here you have our Great Lake right here where our aquatics area is. Very picturesque, very nice place to hang out on a warm July day or June day right here. So going over these things, these are just some things that are new, some contact information, things of that nature. I will mention also, hey, Hunter, real quick, will you scroll up to the top real quick of that page? The gray boxes are contact addresses. I will say if you're going to send a check for any fees to camp, if you will, send that to our council office, which is that before May 31st address right there. If it gets sent to camp, me and Hunter are not at camp every day. And so if you send it to camp, it may take us a couple extra days to get added into the system just because we don't have it. But so if you're going to send a check, please send it to our council office, which is that address on the left right here that Hunter just highlighted. Also try to include your troop name and what you're paying for, just so that way our office staff can help process that to the correct account. So I just wanted to throw that out there really quickly. Moving on right here. Sorry, excuse me. If you ever need to email us again, registration@ravennob.com. We try to respond to those within a day. So if you need any questions, if you have any questions like health form related or specific accommodations that need to be made during camp, I recommend emailing healthlodge@ravennob.com. That one's monitored throughout the off season. If you have any like specific questions, how to store medication, space for medication storage, things like that, I always recommend emailing that healthlodge@ravennob.com link right there. You want to go ahead and scroll down there. Okay, all right. So preparing for camp. So again, most of this you all have already encountered, but just in case, you should have already filled out that registration form, or if you're back with us from another year, you already put down your deposit for next year. If you want to check what your campsite is, you can go to that ravennob.com/availability, and it'll pull up our campsite list as well. If you would like to do unit reservations for next year, that's that information. Provisional scouts. So if you have a scout who maybe their family is taking a vacation your week of camp, but they still want to come to camp, they can register as what's called a provisional scout. So they will actually come to camp and stay with a different unit and participate basically the same as if they were going to camp with your troop. But that would allow them to come a different week than the week that you're scheduled to attend. Similarly related, right underneath that is our Raven repeat discount. Yes, they can come back. All right. Even if they have not come to camp yet, they can go ahead and get prepared and sign up for their second week of camp, which is available at a discounted rate. Also, we have our day camper option available for those local troops. Same scenario. Would like to still attend camp, but their unit's not available, or they're not available. They're not able to attend the same week as their unit. Right there. Adult provisionals are also allowed as well if you'd like to come with your scout on a week that is different from your troop. All right, I wonder if you want to keep scrolling there. Okay, so right here, somebody asked this question a minute ago, how many different leaders do we get for free? So this right here is the breakdown of that. So if you're bringing 1 to 10 scouts, you would get 1 full week leader waived just for signing up. If you're bringing 11 to 20, it would be 2, 21 to 30, 3, et cetera, et cetera. So you can kind of use that scale to basically figure out how many free leader fees are waived. And the system does that automatically. So it will, your Tenru account will actually see how many youth you have signed up and registered, and it'll take that fee away. So once we start getting to the time where we're making full payments and stuff like that, it will already take that out. You don't have to factor that into the balance that's on your Tenru account. Half-week leader spaces as well. I get this question sometimes. I have 2 half-week leaders coming, should they register for a half week or a full week? They should still register as half week, just because it keeps track of who else coming to camp and what our attendance is and things like that. So just getting out ahead of that question as well. Right down here is our camp fees. Hunter, if you want to scroll down just a little bit. This right here is our camp fees. So as I mentioned, these are the ones for scouts, leaders, half-week leaders, and then our provisional options as well. Again, that Raven repeat discount is if you attend twice in the same summer, not if you attend this summer and next summer. It's just if you attend twice in the same summer. And we do recommend scouts, not the unit, should cover all camp costs, which prevents the unit from losing money if a scout cannot attend camp and has not yet paid. And you can find more information about these numbers on our ravenob.com/pricing page. We'll give you those numbers as well. Go ahead and scroll down there. All right, so again, this is the same registration breakdown we were talking about earlier, just in terms of like when deposits are due, when do I register, and when do I need the final payment by. We try to be flexible, but after you make those deposits between when your final payment is due, we know that different units do different fundraisers at different times throughout the year. And so we try to be flexible. We recommend that by the time you get to camp or the week before that you make that final payment, just so that way we can get squared away. And you can do that in administration when you arrive if you need to do that as well. I think that was everything on that. Yeah. All right, if you want to keep scrolling there. Yeah, like I said, that's the same information that Hunter was going over a second ago. We'll talk about this with the program guide as well. Real quickly, just age recommendations. We have some merit badges, especially merit badges in our range and target activities that have like certain age recommendations. Those are just what we suggest based on what we have seen in the past and what we think will make your scouts most successful attending camp and earning these merit badges. Obviously, you may have a scout in your unit that is 12 and is 6 foot tall and has been shooting bow and arrow all their life, and maturity wise can handle taking our merit badge. That's okay. We can work with that. Just let us know ahead of time. And real quick, merit badges or sessions that we can't do that with are ATV, lifeguard, and I think that's it. But anyways, there's more final payment things, refund policies as well. Units that withdraw your reservation before February 1st may receive a partial amount of the unit deposit. And that explains also if scouts need to cancel up to 3 weeks of camp, you're entitled to a full refund. Afterwards, we will tend to keep the $150. Obviously, if you have a scout that breaks their leg 2 days before they're supposed to come to camp, that's a little bit different. We could work with you on that. But just as a rule of thumb, up to 3 weeks prior to that. And then that explains our refund process there as well. Going over this just a little bit more quickly here, that explains the health form that Ash went over, and some other forms that we require as well. Medications at camp. I know Hunter's going to talk about transportation here later. Parking, just basic information like that. Here's your week at a glance. If you've never been to camp before and you'd like to learn more about what your week looks like, these pages are where you can do that. And again, more information during the week, along with checkout processes and things like that. Yeah. So like I said, there's a lot of good information in this. Please look over it with your troop committee. Look over it, figure out what you need and what you may need to get handled ahead of time. It's good to look after that. Really quickly, looking at the program guide, we won't spend a ton of time on this, but I do want to draw your attention to a couple things here. So this is our program guide for this year. It lists our merit badge and session offerings and kind of what area those belongs to. It also will show you what's new this summer first up right there. And then it'll tell you if there's any age requirements or things like that, or costs associated with the merit badge. So scrolling through here again, so like for example, aquatics, this mentions all of the merit badges and sessions that we offer at aquatics, what they're recommended for, and what's required. So again, if you have a scout that, has been canoeing all their life or kayaking all their life and wants to take kayaking, that's something we can work with. Lifeguarding, ATV, of those things, those are regulations that we can't really work with. So you have to be 15 plus to take lifeguard there. And it goes through all the different areas and breaks them down basically. If you have a merit badge that has a slash in between it, that does mean that they would earn both of those merit badges. So for example, pottery and sculpture, you're earning both of those merit badges at the same time. We offer a couple of different options like that, such as mammal study and wildlife and mammal study and things like that. So fish and wildlife management, mammal study, that's the one I was thinking of there. And then really quickly, we're going to scroll to the bottom or to the end of this document, just so that way I can show you the program grid real quick. All right, so this program grid right here explains when our classes are offered at what times. So just really quickly breaking this down, we do operate on a block schedule. So if you would like to attend Canoeing Merit Badge, you're going to attend Canoeing Merit Badge every day, Monday through Friday. So we go to our sessions every day. If you sign up for canoeing, it would be a 2-hour course. So you're going to be attending Canoeing Merit Badge from 9 to 10 and 10 to 11 all of those days. Real quickly, some of our courses are 1 hour, 2 hours, and there is the rare 3-hour course. You can see based on how many blocks that it takes up. So for example, snorkeling is a 1-hour session, whereas life-saving canoeing are 2-hour sessions. Sometimes these numbers throw people off. The number really only means that what session and what time it's offered. So for example, 351, the only real significance of that number is just that it's rowing merit badge being offered at 9 to 10 a.m. every day. That will come into effect later on when we do registration. Those numbers actually make it a little bit quicker to look up the merit badges that you're wanting to sign up for your scouts. But like I said, Hunter will go over that in a later webinar. But I know sometimes people see those numbers and it kind of throws them off. So that number really just means whatever the session is at what time. So don't let those confuse you. But your scouts have the option to choose up to 6 sessions a day. So when parents ask what are they going to come away with, they can earn up to 6 merit badges a day, potentially more if they take some of our multiple merit badge options. So that program registration, you can go ahead and start looking at what times and what sessions you want for your scouts, and you can start looking at it now, found in that program guide right there. Hunter, did I miss anything on the program guide?
No. The one thing I will tell you about these numbers is that they should make life easier for you. If you're creating a form to give to your scouts for them to fill out, it's very easy for them just to fill out that number. And when we get into doing session registration, hit the, the search bar or whatever in your browser, Command F is what I use on a Mac. I think it's Control F on whatever those other computers are that I don't use, but you can just plug that number in rather than trying to type out the whole name of something that it'll pull the session up. So so that should make life a little easier. All right, Wesley, you want to wrap up these last two real quick?
Yeah, again, really quickly, that parents guide is going to come in handy whenever your parents start asking you questions like, hey, my scout's never been to camp before. What do I need to be prepared for? So again, in this thing, it talks about a couple different things. First is a packing list. It explains more about the forms that the parents would need to provide. If their child has medication, how is that handled? Food allergies, and like the trading post, like I mentioned, how much money do I send with my kid for the trading post? All those things are answered in this guide. And so it's kind of meant to help you answer some of these questions that parents are inevitably going to come up with, especially as we start getting into camp around the April to May timeframe there. So feel free to send this document out to all of your parents to get them prepared for camp. This is a camp map as well, in case you haven't been to camp before and want to get familiarized with kind of where things are. And then finally, looking at our last one here, this is for those units that have scouts in the Rampage program, which is our high adventure program. Go ahead. What are you going to say, Hunter?
No.
Okay. If you have scouts in this program, this just kind of explains more of what to expect, what the schedule looks like, what they should pack, because it's going to be a little bit different than what your regular scouts will pack, and kind of maps, routes, what they're doing, which day, and things like that. So if you have scouts that are going to be taking this program, I highly recommend you sit down and look at this with them as well, just so that way everybody's on the same page about what Rampage entails.
Yep. Cool. All right. Thank you, Wesley. Real quick, I want to answer a few questions that we have, some about the age overrides, things of that nature. So really quick, we're trying to get out of here before 7. I know a lot of folks have other things to take care of. So I want to talk about this. Here's a perfect example. So we do have merit badges that have age requirements on them. The purpose of that, and I know a lot of people get frustrated with it, is that we want to make sure that it's a positive experience for this scout. There are some scouts who may not be physically apt to, have a positive experience at camp during a certain merit badge, or, they just may not be ready for it, on a mental level. They're not ready to sit in a classroom all day and learn about personal management and budgets and credit cards and things of that nature. And so we want to make sure that there is a conversation in place that you've had with a parent of the scout, all those kinds of things, to ensure that this scout is coming to camp and is going to have a positive experience, because we did this for a reason. It wasn't just to keep younger kids out of certain sessions. That's not what it was at all. Trust me. If that was the reason, we wouldn't have done it at all. It's to ensure that we're making sure we have a positive experience for these kids. And it does work. And we've had a lot less issues from top to bottom, making sure that we've had these conversations. So as you're going through this program, guide, you'll see recommended for age 13 plus. Okay. When you see those ages there, that will block you in the system. So if a scout goes in and is trying to register for metal work and they're 11 years old, that system is not going to let that scout register for the session. However, if you go in and say, okay, we know this scout is mature enough, we know the scout is physically able to sit in a, easily 100-degree forge location for an hour or more during the day, you go in here and you will knock out one of these age overrides. Okay. So there's a button right here, and you go in and you click on this and you can submit it. You can go ahead and start submitting these now. And this, you'll need to put in their full schedule, because we will put that in for them, not just the schedule of the, one merit badge or whatever that we're trying to bypass here. So you'll put this information in, hit submit. Myself and Wesley will go in and add them in. All right. We add these things in pretty quick. So if you're doing it on registration day, we're keeping an eye on this and we're adding them in as quickly as we can. It's sending us email notifications to let us know when they're coming in. Okay. But if you see those, once again, where it has an age, okay, age right there, it's going to kick back. Okay. And again, our purpose of this is to ensure that we're having a positive experience, because we've had a lot of scouts, 11 years old, rushing to get to Eagle, and they sign up for personal management, and the kid just doesn't enjoy camp. And I could probably understand as an 11-year-old not enjoying camp, sitting in personal management. As exciting as we can make it, it's still going to be a lot for somebody younger to understand. So just help us with that and work through it. So that document or that form is located on Leaders Guides and Forms page. All right. Let's see here. Just really quick. All right. I'm going to pass this over to Sam, who's going to talk really briefly on a couple of things to watch out for, particularly in our ATVs, and then just our prerequisites for different classes to begin with. So, Sam, I'm going to let you take it away. You're going to have to unmute first.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
There we go.
Yes. So looking at prerequisites first, this is, I'll let her get to it there.
All good.
Yeah. So this is going to be kind of a mix of stuff that you're going to be doing at camp, and maybe you want to complete it before you get to camp. It just kind of depends on what it is. So, like for example, if you're taking archery, you don't have to go home and practice every day with a 22-pound bow and see if you can fully pull it. You just need to be able to do it at some point. Know that you're going to have to do that at camp. Or things that take like a long time requirement, like for reptile and amphibian merit badge, you can't watch a reptile for 30 days in the span of the 5 days that you're there at camp. It just doesn't work out timeline wise. But all this information is going to be available on our website under the sessions or the session list / prerequisites. So up at the top, it'll be under that list. And they're going to be available under a CSV file for sharing and download, so you can share them between your troop. And just if there's a leader that doesn't want to go on our website and worry about having to find it, you can just send it to them as a file. And then as for our ATV program, there are a few required documents or a few required things that you need to do for that. So on the webpage, it includes things like the time, how much it's going to cost, and the age requirements. This is one of the ones that we do require you be 14 plus for it. So we can't take anyone under 14 just for safety reasons. And on this list, you're going to find a few different things like the ATV training course, which your scout does need to complete before they come to the ATV sessions. And there's not great internet out there, so make sure that they have some way to access it. You don't have to print it out, because I know sometimes scouts will lose it, and that's a whole problem. But if they have access to a phone or something, some way that they can show it and be like, hey, look, I've completed my trainings, and here are my certifications. We need to be able to see that and just log that in our system. And we are limited by number of ATVs that we have. So unfortunately, we'd love to have everybody on there running around on ATVs, but we only have a certain number. So that's kind of limited by how many ATVs we actually have.
Absolutely. And Sam, a couple more things to mention. That 14 age requirement, I know we get a lot of questions on that. That is governed by North Carolina state law, so I cannot budge on that whatsoever unless I want a hefty fine or jail time, apparently. So you got to work with us on that one. It's got to be 14 years old. When you get in the system and start registering, we actually have it separated out to ensure that we're giving a fair shot to our 16, 17-year-old kids. 14 and 15-year-olds in the state of North Carolina, the maximum engine or size engine they can ride is a 90 cc, and then starting at 16 years old, they can ride a 200 or higher up to, I think it's like a 400 or something at that level. And so we have it broken down for that reason, because of the number of machines we have. With our sessions, we can only have up to 8 scouts per session in there. And we offer 2 sessions during the week, okay? So if you've got scouts that want ATV, I highly recommend when you register them, I'll show you a tip once we get to March, but on how to try to get them in as quickly as possible. But you need to have backup sessions for pretty much everything, especially if you're coming to one of those busier weeks. Weeks 1 and 2 are typically the busiest of the summer. Also, week 5 this year is very busy. Always have some backup sessions in mind when you're planning things out. If you get in here and scouts are taking the ATV training course, don't do that until you've already confirmed your spot come March. You do not have to pay for this training course. And then we also have the hold harmless agreement down here as well. I will mention one other thing when we're looking at our session list and prerequisites. National updated what I would describe as a significant number of merit badge requirements this year. It's probably close to the most that I've ever seen. And there is a high possibility that we could have missed, requirement 6E or something to that nature. So if we update this, you'll see it right here, updated 2/2/26. We'll continue to update this document as some things get pointed out, or, they make late changes, whatever it may be. But go in here and check it out. One of the things that we do with these prerequisites, we do have a way to harvest those, and we'll talk about those at a later date just because it's not necessary today. All right. Cool deal. Sam, you got anything else, or are you good? Cool deal. All right. Thank you, Sam. All right. We're going to bounce over to the last just few things here really quick. We've got a lot of units this summer that are planning to arrive by plane or by train to attend Camp Raven Knob. And so if you are planning to arrive by plane or by train, you'll need to come to this summer camp registration tab. All right. And to talk a little bit about that, we do have units from Florida. I think up in the DC area, all over the place, anywhere there may be an Amtrak station that do enjoy riding to camp on the Amtrak train. And so we pick those folks up either in Raleigh or the High Point or Greensboro stations. And we provide that transportation to and from. As you start to lock in that information, which we've already seen folks doing, which is great, you'll come over here to your Leaders Guides and Forms tab once again, and then there's the transportation pickup request. All we need is the information of where you're coming into, what's the time, what's the date, and we'll start locking it in. So leading up to the week of camp, we'll start sending out, okay, we're going to be here at this time picking you up. When we do pick up folks, it could be a variety of different transportation means that we send down there. It could be a 56-person charter bus, could be a 15-passenger van, could be an SUV, could be a pickup truck, could be a car. So we try to put everybody in our vans and in charter buses, all that good stuff. So as you start to work through it, please go ahead and fill this out so that way we have that information to work through it. Let's see here. I just want to look through our questions. So the ATV, this is a great question right here. ATV is 8 slots per session, but it's 5 to the 16-year-olds and 3. Actually, you're spot on, Gary. Been with us a few years, but we have 3 spots open for our 14 and 15-year-olds, and then 5 for the 16 and 17s. If we have to get in there and move that around, we can, because we do have you got to have extra machines when you're running a program that relies on these things. So we're able to move it around, but that's just kind of our structure that we have. So to answer this, National did not add more prerequisites. They just updated most of the requirements for a lot of merit badges. And so as we look through those, we determine, okay, yeah, that requirement can be done at camp or it can't be done at camp. So we're constantly trying to update those to ensure that we've got everything right. Great question here. We're planning on arriving from Florida or really anywhere. What is the early check-in process? So we do allow folks to check into camp early. We do ask that if you are coming from a long way, that's one. If you're not coming from very far away, work with us just because it does create, it's a whole process. The one thing to note is that we do not serve food until Sunday dinner. Okay, that's one thing to keep in mind. We do not serve food until Sunday dinner. And so if you come in Saturday, you'll be responsible for your food. We will have somebody on our camp staff that's there that'll check you in, but essentially you'll come to camp sometime past noon, 1 o'clock. That gives us time to reset camp and get a lot of the staff out the door to get them into town and buy laundry detergent, all that good stuff. And that gives us time to reset and get you guys in. And once you get there, we tell you just go straight to your campsite, wherever that may be, and then we'll send the guys by to check on you, make sure you've got everything you need and ready to go. So we do transport people. Sorry, I'm just answering a lot of questions that are coming in here because we got some good ones. We do transport on Saturday early arrival. We do that a lot. If you are coming in by train, we do prefer you come in on Sunday, but we know pricing and options and things like that, Saturday may be better. So great question here. Is there a maximum number of scouts for the Rampage program? There is in the system. However, we do change that depending on what the needs are. We're not, if you've got 8 kids that are planning to come take Rampage, we'll change our staffing. We'll add more transportation needs. We'll have more boats, whatever we need to. So that's not really a max number that I would be super concerned about until we get closer to camp. You want to add 5 people, a week out. That gets us a little bit tricky because we've planned for the folks and boats and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Really quickly, somebody had asked earlier on, I just wanted to reiterate it here. When do leaders sign up for their leader programs? So we do offer a lot of adult programs such as IOLS, Wilderness First Aid, Safe Swim Defense, Level 1 Climbing, etc. You would sign up for those programs at the same time that your youth signs up for Merit Badge through the same process that we'll talk about later in our next webinar. So whenever you're planning on those adult trainings, that's whenever you would sign up for those, which is the same time as you sign up for youth Merit Badges.
For sure. All right. Here's a good question. Do you have laundry on site? Is it cash or card? We do not have like a dedicated laundry facility on premises, if you will. If you're trying to do a bunch of laundry things, we just really don't have a good spot for that. However, if you're just trying to run through the Class A's before you go back home, whatever it may be, just find myself or one of our key leaderships after a leadership meeting in the mornings, and we'll get that worked out for you. So we're not gonna charge you for that. And then here's a great question: do we need to provide leaders for the Rampage program or troop? The answer to that question is no. You do not need to provide leadership. However, it's encouraged. We like for leaders to be able to have these great experiences as well. So if a leader wants to attend Rampage, absolutely. I will say for our Cripple Creek program, if you do have scouts that are attending that, we do not have a female staff member to help cover with that program. So if you do have scouts that are attending the Cripple Creek program, we would need a female leader to be provided from that unit. So it's it may change between now and then, but that's what we're working with at this point in time. So, but Rampage, we're all good there. All right, just looking through these questions and making sure we're all good. I think we've answered quite a few of them. All right, if you haven't already and you have those questions last minute, go ahead and plug those in. We're going to go ahead and start winding this thing down. So real quick, again, so everybody can see it again here, is these registration dates. We will continue to push these over the next couple of days. Starting on February 15th, you'll be able to go in and update your unit count as we showed you tonight. Start paying that $150 per scout, and you can continue to update that. I will tell you this: if we get closer to camp or you get after those session registration dates, we get a lot of questions. Can we add more kids? Absolutely. You got AOLs crossing over in April, May, June, and they want to come to camp and you've got the way to get them there, bring them to camp. We want them to have that experience. So we can continually update these numbers and add more to them. So don't, if you have a system where you're cutting folks off, that's one thing. But if you want to make it work for somebody, by all means, just let us know and we can go in and bump those numbers up for you. All right. Weeks 1 and 2, March 10th. Weeks 3 through 6, March 12th. Okay. Keep those in mind. 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be waiting and rolling for you. So as we mentioned before, sorry, let me get this pulled up. We do have these webinars on the first Monday of every month. So 1 month from the day, March 2nd, go ahead and queue up. If you, again, hit the subscribe button so you can get notified if you were to forget, but it will automatically record. So hop in there. I'll also mention, if you've got a Cub pack or you're a Cub leader and you want a top-notch Cub Scout resident camp, feel free to attend. I think we've got one of the largest Cub Scout resident camp in the state that we offer. We're celebrating America's 250th birthday. And I will tell you, folks, I've got something up my sleeve that's never been done at camp that's going to be awesome. And so you can kind of wrap your head around, how do you celebrate, 4th of July or New Year's, all those things. I'm not going to say it, but you guys can just tune in there. But we'd love to have you, your Cub pack, so recommend that to them. Also, if you got neighboring troops looking for a summer camp, feel free to bring them in. We know that there's troops with 4 or 5 kids and they're looking for a summer camp and leadership may be tough. Feel free to bring them in with you and add them in to your group. We'd be happy to have them. All right, seeing no more questions roll in, we appreciate everybody's time tonight. We know it's dinner time, so feel free to go get the spaghetti going or get the oven on, and we will catch you here next time on March 2nd. If you have any questions in between now and whenever we meet again, just feel free to send us an email. Our emails are below, and we'll be happy to help you. You can also give us a call, and we'd be happy to talk to you as well. But with that, I appreciate it, and have a great evening. Thank you.